United States of America has been party to major military conflict 7 times during the past 168 years. It continues to pay day after day for 7 of these human holocausts. There are still living veterans or dependents of veterans of the War of 1812, the Mexican War, the Indian Wars, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, and World Wars I and II. There are claims, too, of peacetime veterans and their dependents. Machinery necessary to the gigantic task of discharging the government's obligations to the millions who have given so generously of their human resources is supplied by the United States Veterans Administration, created in its present form by Act of Congress, July 3, 1930. The administrator is appointed by the President with the consent of Congress.
We in the Veterans Administration are bending every effort to modernize and speed up our services to all veterans. The veteran will face his biggest problems in his hometown, and it is there they must be solved. Nothing in the post-war period is more important than that communities provide intelligence counsel and neighborly advice to returning veterans.
Personal calls in relation to Veterans Administration business at all the offices are easily more than 1 million a year. In the Washington headquarters alone, it is not unusual for those in charge to interview as many as 850 people during the course of the 8-hour business day. And there must be real humanity in these interviews, for many of them are almost literally matters of life and death. Expenditures for veterans relief begin way back in 1790. Total expenditures from that early beginning until April 30th, 1944, have reached the staggering sum of more than $26 billion. More than half of this, or about $15 billion, has resulted from World Wars I and II, stepping up the administrative job tremendously within the past few years. The finance service of the Veterans Administration handles, either directly or indirectly, all government expenditures dealing in any way with the fortunes of the veterans or their dependents. And the Veterans Administration is one of the largest single spending agencies of the government. 25% of the big central office of the Veterans Administration in Washington is occupied by record and statistical data, literally miles of filing cabinets. Not surprising, though, when one remembers that our family of veterans is numbered in the millions. In these files are to be found some of the most illustrious names in the military history of the country. The helping hand of the United States government, extended through the Veterans Administration, reaches into every corner of the United States and its possessions, into practically every crossroads town and hamlet in America, as well as into foreign countries where American citizens may be temporarily domiciled. Many communications handled are written in foreign languages. Translators familiar with almost every tongue that is spoken or written form an important division of the mail department. An average of 45,000 pieces of mail is handled at the central office in Washington each day, and there have been days when this quantity has been stepped up to more than 90,000. One important communication was mailed out of the Washington office to more than 6 million different addresses. Here, once more, the use of the most modern machinery is the only thing that makes the gigantic job possible. The very lifeblood of the Veterans Administration's service to those who served. Each station which the Veterans Administration uses in its gigantic job of covering the entire country is either a facility or a regional office. Mount Alto in Washington, D.C., the national capital, is a combination diagnostic center and general hospital. Here, the most modern apparatus for diagnosis has been generously provided. X-ray photography and the weird light of the fluoroscope, which discloses many conditions which were hidden from the human eye until not so long ago, are agencies of everyday usage in these modernly equipped diagnostic centers. Deep X-ray is also extensively used in the treatment of disease, as is radium, that giant of modern magic, which seems to have essentially the same curative properties. General hospital service at Mount Alto is, for the most part, for the care of thousands of men and women in the District of Columbia and vicinity whose past service to the federal government in one capacity or another has made them veterans within the official meaning of the term. 5 miles east of the famous Chicago Loop business district, there's another veterans facility of the same classification as Mount Alto, General Hospital and Diagnostic Center. Popularly referred to as Hines, this splendid institution was named for Edward Hines, Jr., a young United States Army officer who heroically gave his life for his country during World War I. It is chiefly distinguished for the important contributions to advanced medical science, which have resulted from the untiring efforts of its brilliant research staff. The never-ceasing fight against cancer, stubborn scourge of the human race, goes on here day after day and year after year, and constant progress is being recorded. Here have been assembled photographs and case histories of cancer conditions that run into the thousands. These are the supplemental textbooks which eager investigators study constantly in their efforts to find some pattern of effect which may lead them back to fundamental causes. When cancer is conquered, work of this kind will have been the conqueror. Specialists with a wealth of experience to guide them, and these diagnostic records, which are as complete as can be made anywhere, consult as to the best curative methods. At this facility at North Chicago, there are accommodations for more than 1,000 patients, an especially well-developed program of occupational therapy, general farming, and animal husbandry. Patients take particular pride in the flowers they grow in outdoor gardens and greenhouses. 92 buildings on 500 acres at Wood, Wisconsin, suburb of Milwaukee. Essentially, it is a soldier's home, and it has all the touches of beauty and good living which one might expect to find in a splendid private estate. Wood is one of the first 3 soldiers' homes to be built by the government in 1867. An annex to Wood at Waukesha, Wisconsin. Indiana veterans are most directly served by a general hospital in Indianapolis. At the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania facilities, 5,000 people to visit them on a Sunday afternoon. At Huntington, West Virginia. At Roanoke in Old Virginia, each in a location carefully selected to make it best serve the particular purpose for which it was built. Hobbies are literally lifesavers at a place like this where there are necessarily thousands of idle hands. The several shops in which all those who are able are encouraged to keep themselves busy are equipped with about everything that has ever been heard of for the production of gadgets, useful as well as ornamental. These hobby shops are a veritable paradise for the man who loves to tinker. Administration is essentially a business term, and business is usually cold and matter-of-fact. Of course, in the affairs of the Veterans Administration, there must be plenty of business. The interests of millions of human beings to safeguard and protect, the operation of billions of dollars worth of buildings and paid services, the expenditure of close to $600 million annually in direct and indirect benefits to those who served. But it is only in these hospitals and domiciliary institutions that it is possible to sense the fine fusion of administration and sympathy, business and humanity, which has been accomplished in behalf of these to whom the entire nation owes a debt.